Greetings to all the people in the internet land, the realm of the digital, and all of the sorts of things where you find cats and memes. We are some of the Destruct Principle, coming to you from the Devil's Den, and even though it is the Devil's Den, we do have it chilly because it is warm outside. It is warm, it is moist. So, we are here. We have had an eventful few days where we just wrapped up the final Smite Fest, where we did 2 performances along with the spooky dookies of the Merry Lou's. So we were all hanging out and doing the things, haunting hotels, and yes, stopping at gas stations for coffee at 5 a.m.
Just normal things.
Just normal Destruct Principle things. And thankfully it was good coffee. Yeah. Did you both came in? Yeah? No. Anyways.
The last one, he was sleeping.
But yes, so we're here and we figured, well, let's have another kind of just, nothing too deep, nothing too long-winded. We're just going to have some more chats, because the other one we did was fun and engaging and insightful and all of the things. And so yeah, and we'll probably jump back into ones that have all of us in them soon, next time, once we're all here. And we have lots of interesting episodes and ideas and things to come. But for now, let's, before we jump into things, does anyone have anything noteworthy they want to bring up? Anything of interest? Things that might have occurred at Smite Fest that you want to mention in your mind? Or you're just like,
At Smite Fest, there was what I considered to be, apart from the Mary Lou's performance, the other highlight of the poolside performances, and that was a group of, I think, 3 young
Children.
I was just about to say young men who, I guess, were rappers, and it was amazing. They were ridiculous in a great way, and I love that, for example, they made sure to let the crowd know that this next song is about slime, the green stuff. That's a quote, okay? And then the other, I think, the most amazing thing about these guys was at the end of their set, they pointed to a tree, and this tree had 2 shirts hanging off of it, just shirts hanging off tree limbs, and they said something like, "We got a couple of shirts left on the merch tree over there." So my mind was blown, and I can only hope I can,
You said they had 3 names too. We couldn't figure out what they were.
I was going to say, I can only hope to ever, experience that at some point in the future. However, I don't recall their name, their group's name.
That was the group before the Merry Lou's, right? That are you talking about that? I don't know what the group name was, but was that where they were, like, everyone was AKA / AKA
That's what I was
/ AKA.
Yeah. That's what I was just going to say, is I don't know what their name was, because they said their name, but they also said, as Adam just said, AKA this and then AKA that, and yeah, I couldn't catch their name because they apparently went by many, and it was a lot of incoherent insanity basically from these guys, and yeah, I found them to be highly entertaining, and yeah,
Well, and like we've said before,
Yeah.
I'd take entertaining over, boring. So, yeah, and I mean, good
They
utilization.
had two merch.
Good
t-shirts,
utilization of merch trees. Because if you don't have a table and racks, use a tree.
well, we were saying that, really we should have our merch in the trees, like in the woods, in the forest. Like that would be appropriate for us, I think. That's the next step in our merchandising, I think, is, we already have quite a large merch setup at our shows, but eventually I think it would be a great thing for us, depending on the venue.
Outdoor shows.
If we could, play outdoor shows and have all of our merch just,
It's our merch forest.
It's our merch forest. We've got merch in our merch forest,
I mean, it makes sense. If we outgrow the 16 feet of tables and racks,
There's a chance we're gonna take over a small forest with the amount of merch we have.
We move to the forest.
Well, I'm all for it, but yeah, that's one memory I have of Smite Fest. But yeah, in all seriousness, though, it's a good time, and the people who run it are good people, and the sound people there they know what they're doing, and we've played Smite Fest for the past 5-6 years or something like that, and it's always been a good time, and the people who attend Smite Fest, a lot of them tend to be there yearly, and so we've always been received really well from the crowd that attends Smite Fest.
They're very supportive.
They're very supportive. It's been very good to us. So, as we've recently posted online, and I'll mention it too, we just want to once again say thank you to Sean and to Smite Fest for having us. It was apparently the final Smite Fest, but hopefully Sean, the creator, is going to create something else in the future, a similar sort of maybe festival type of situation that we'd like to be a part of, I'm sure.
I was like, the next one will be the Fest of Smite.
Might have to be, just reworded a bit. Reminds me of like movies, in movies, prequels and sequels, if you add the in front of
It changes
a word, then there you go. So
Or
Yeah.
when you're Fast and Furious, you remove it. Because the
Yeah.
first one
Right.
was the Fast and the Furious,
Right.
and then number 7 or something was
Yeah.
Fast and Furious.
yeah, it may end up being a situation like that with future Smite Fest related festivals to come. But yeah, it was a good time, and it always is. So
We were pretty tired by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
yes, I was very tired. Like she said, I fell asleep at one point, sort of. You never really fall
as best
asleep.
you can in
but
a vehicle.
yeah, you never really truly fall asleep. You just kind of drift in and out of something similar
Conscious.
to sleep. Yeah, but
I remember I was just like, do you care if I rest my eyes? And you were like, rest your eyes? You mean sleep?
exactly, because at that point, that's probably going to become sleep. So
It's just you not wanting to be like,
Right.
I need to sleep.
I was trying to word it in a different way.
Can I please just rest my eyes?
because
I won't be asleep.
'cause typically Adam drives everywhere, and when you're riding in the passenger seat, shotgun with him driving, it, and I
want to stay awake.
you want to,
like,
yeah, it's only fair and it makes sense. If you're sitting up front with him while he's driving, you want to be awake. You don't want to just be curled up there nice and comfy taking a nap when he's struggling to stay awake, because we're only human, and it's, we're we're running on minimal sleep, and we've been, you know, playing shows is, you know, it's not as easy as it looks. You know, there's a lot of loading and unloading, and you know, physical labor that goes into it, and that's just the physical side. It's not even mentioning the mental, you know, stress, you might call it. It's a fun time, sure, but there's a lot of mental, you know, stress that can go along with it, for lack of a better term, stress. And so anyway, yeah, I guess that's why she was like, you know, do you mind if I rest my eyes, because he's, like I said, you want to stay awake for the guy because he's driving, and it's only fair. And I would expect the same. You know, so yeah, the struggle is real. So, but yeah,
Just going to rest my eyes.
yeah,
I'll be aware of everything.
yeah. I'll be totally aware. I'll be awake. I just will have my eyes closed and be really tired.
And not respond to anything.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, Avrie, anything stand out or
No,
you
just
want to mention? Or?
just what Jared said, because he came inside and got me and was like, "You need to witness this," and I came out. And I was like, "Oh my, this is ridiculous, but in an amazing way,
Yep.
entertaining."
And I mean, because that was going on while I was setting up the lose, and I mean, it was fun. I enjoy, especially like some of the beats, and because I mean, I'll, regardless of what it is, or if the entire thing as a whole is something I'd listen to or not, I'll pick out things I like, and you know, even though I'm paying attention to getting our setup done for the lose, I'm like, this is some good beats.
And I don't know if you noticed, he did not have a laptop. He had a monitor. He had
I didn't look at the I mean, it could have been like an iPad or something.
No, it was like a computer like it was like an old.
Oh, you mean like he had like a desktop?
Yeah,
Oh.
yes. Like
I mean, hey.
I know, and I was just like, wow.
Perfect.
Okay. Like it just made it like.
Gonna load up our set on my floppy, and you know.
But I get what you mean, especially when it comes to like electronic based music or even modern pop music. It uses electronics, and I think you and I are the same. You know, we all are, like, you know, especially when it comes to electronic music or music that uses electronics. It's like, even if you don't like that style, the genre, the song, whatever, it's like you can pick out things that they used to make the music in that song that you can be like, oh, okay, you know, because I'm a fan of electronics or music, like you said, I can pick out things, like you said, at the very least the beats. So I get that. I think that a lot when I hear music or, you know, songs that I'm just like, I would never listen to this, but, you know, whatever programs or synths were used to create this awful pop song, you know, I would probably have fun playing around with that if I were in a studio with that or something. So, you know, I don't know. I guess the point is there's always going to be a fundamental shred of, I don't know if respect is the right word, but, you know,
Well,
if it's music, there's always something to appreciate.
that makes me think
guess.
of, and I don't really have an opinion on them as an artist because I don't really think I've heard much else, but and I'm not going to remember the name either because why would I when I'm mentioning it? But I don't remember. She's some popular pop star. Had a really big hit recently, and then wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot of.
Yes, I know.
I can only think of like
that Call Me Maybe.
Katy Perry,
No.
Taylor Swift.
No, what the hell? That the song is like Call Me Maybe.
Oh, I
I
know
know
the
that.
song,
I
but I don't
don't
know
know
who
who it
sings
is.
that though.
Anyways, that person, that pop star artist, whoever, that was produced by Dave Ogilvy, who, if you know, Skinny Puppy history, worked with them as producer on a number of works of theirs, and so production-wise and different sounds of things that I've heard in some of the, not that song in particular, but a few others that I did hear. it's I would be like, yeah, I'll check it out because of this producer, or just because it's like, oh, how did they work with this artist, because it's not what I would listen to, but I'm interested to hear. Anyways, so yeah, things and stuff, or what. And again, I'm not really familiar with them as an artist, but or even how to pronounce the name correctly. But is it Halsey, who just worked with Trent and Atticus?
Yeah, and it's funny because a song came on when I was at work, and we play like
or
just
Hayes. I don't know how you pronounce
a generic
the name.
station, and I was like, this beat sounds like
and like
familiar and good. I was like, I like this. I was like, in my head, I was like, it sounds like 9 Inch Nails, but like with a female singer like beat. And then I looked up,
and I haven't heard anything off of it, but and this is also a good idea for artists, because I've heard of them before. I think I might have even heard a track or two. I think they had a track on the Birds of Prey soundtrack, which I really like that soundtrack, but I wouldn't remember which song was theirs. Because you just like songs, but you don't look up who it is. But I will listen to that and check it out because of Trent and Atticus, and so yeah.
It was good, and it's not like it's not all the time that if something comes on, at work, that I'm like, I like this. What is this? And I looked, I went up to the iPod and I looked at what was playing, and I was like, oh my God, this is the song that I read somewhere they were working with her, and I was like, I like this.
Or then you have some cool combos that you wouldn't even have expected, like when Crystal Castles and Robert Smith. So that was good. Anyways, so yeah, that's our intro that went a bit. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna also say, I guess maybe wrapping up the Smite Fest, discussions. The one other noteworthy thing was, our performance, both nights. I'm sorry, I don't recall her name.
Ashlyn.
Okay. But we had a performer, her name was Ashlyn, and she did like fire performance while we were performing. And
did the alarm go off both nights or just the first night?
I think it went off the first night.
Yeah, I don't remember the second night.
Yeah, we tend to set off smoke alarms.
And so I think that was the third consecutive year we've set off the alarm.
Yes, we tend to do that because, we have a lot of, I guess, smoke and fire, or at least it's a lot when you're in a more enclosed venue.
Well, just wherever we go, we set off fire alarms regardless.
We try not to, but, we also like candles and flames and fire, so it tends to trigger a smoke alarm every now and then, depending where we are. Luckily, it only went off once during, I think, our Friday night performance. But anyway, I was just going to say, shout out to her because that was cool, whenever we're, fortunate enough to have somebody, offer to perform, that sort of fire performance during our set. It's very fitting, I think. So that was cool. So thanks.
And if you're a booking agent or promoter and you're now like, well, if you're setting off fire alarms, I don't want to deal with fees and things like that, we do let you know beforehand. So anytime it's gone off, they've been aware. So don't think that we just show up and be like, hey, deal with it. So yeah.
Yes, disclaimer.
They were aware, they just couldn't get to, because it's dual stages. So they had to wait until the drum riser on the other stage was cleared to get up and turn it off, which they did. So, yes, just FYI, in the eye, dotted. Yes. So we are going to jump to what the plan was now, because there was no plan. But let's see. I'm going to reset the timer for a little bit longer. Because, again, we're not going to go super long on this, but it will be fun. Because I said so. Alright. So now we're set. Let's see if that'll stay up. All right. So they don't even know what I was going to bring up with this, but I was like, well, we're at what? July 18th. We've got a good 3 months and
I just did it
12
because I booked my next appointment.
3 months and 12 days or so until the true spooky season, and people always say how we're spooky, and I've got a nice trick-or-treat blanket on me, so
It's spooky season now. There's stuff in the stores.
I mean, it's with us, it's always but yes, yeah, where was that you had?
Home Goods and Marshalls.
Yeah, so props to them for early releases. So I figured I'm going to bring up Halloween would you rather questions. So it'll be fun.
This would be fun.
So, yes, you will hear me breathing into the mic because I do not move my head. Yes, there's a sniff. So, I just Googled Halloween would you rather, and the first site that was not trying to sell me things that came up gives me some questions that we're just going to blast out there. So it does push me to actually buy this with a free trial, but then it gives me a bunch of questions, so I'm just going to go the cheap route. So we're going to start it off. We'll go, to the JB Dubs and then Avrie, and then I'll answer, maybe. Call me, maybe. Carly Rae Jespin or something like that.
What? Is that what it is?
I think that's her name.
Jespin?
Because her one music...
You have the phone right there.
Because her one music video has Tom Hanks in it. And I was like, either they're friends or she paid a lot of money to have him appear. Not that that matters at all. But yeah. Let's see. Speaking of Tom Hanks and spooky movies, you should watch The Burbs.
Yes, I agree.
All right. First question. I mean, you can both answer, but we'll hit up, go in the pew, pew, First question. Would you rather walk through a graveyard at midnight, and I'm going to do spooky voice, or spend a night in a spooky abandoned old house? Again, would you rather walk through a graveyard at midnight or spend a night in a spooky abandoned old house?
Walk through a graveyard at midnight. I would do that anyway.
We have done.
Right, we have done
We've
that.
gotten coffee.
That's a fine way to spend an evening.
We've 100% gothed it up in a graveyard.
I would not want to... I'm not a big fan of sleeping in other places other than my own bed in my own home, if that makes sense. I'm not somebody who can just fall asleep in, just anywhere. So, spending the night in a haunted house or whatever that was,
a spooky abandoned old house.
Probably
wow.
haunted.
That's probably a good bet, but either way, I wouldn't want to spend the night there. I would much rather go for a walk in the graveyard at midnight. I might do that when we're done recording this, so who knows. So that's my answer.
I agree with Jared. I would rather go through a walk in the graveyard at midnight. Just because I like walking, and I agree. I don't want to spend a night in an abandoned house. Like, where would you sleep? I don't.
Yeah, on the dirty floor.
No,
like,
yeah, I would not like that. I'd much rather go for a walk, because then you can get coffee.
Exactly.
So that makes me think how we would do our bone hunting walks. We should do a bone hunting walk with flashlights at midnight. That would be fun.
I don't know if we'll have much luck spotting bones at night but I would love.
I have like a military
I'm all
grade
for
flashlight that you can see
Well, there
way
we
too
go.
much at night.
Might need to break that out then.
It's really creepy.
I'm up for it. Yeah.
And I'm going to answer the question in kind of a I don't know, a both, because it would be fun to walk through a graveyard at midnight with my coffee and come across a spooky abandoned old house that would have money in it. So that's my spin on it.
Well, if it has money in it.
Now you've just fucking.
Well, they don't specify if it has things in it. It's just abandoned.
I
It could have
see.
been, it could have been a millionaire that, you know,
Well, then for all I
got
know,
caught stealing once when he was 5.
for all I know, then this graveyard is just littered with $100 bills everywhere. And since that's, they never said that's not the case, I'm gonna assume it is. And if that's the case, I'm gonna be, all over that graveyard. So
It kind of goes back to the last conversation we had, where you're like, well, I would, heat up my, what was it? The world was
If
cold.
it was cold, yeah.
But you could heat
Well,
up anyways, yeah.
Yeah, we determined through a random bunch of questions that in a hypothetical world, it would be an only cold environment. I had to choose between living off of liquid or solid food. I chose solid food, and it was
because you
choosing.
could, you could blend it.
Choosing between incense and candles. So I said, I want the cold weather. I want to live off of solid food, and I
candles.
picked candles. So I had food and warmth, and so I was doing pretty good there. But anyway,
All right, on to the next. Would you rather dunk for apples or carve a jack-o'-lantern?
carve a jack-o'-lantern. Come on now, that's not even a question. I mean, dunking your head or whatever for apples, I would never want to do that. I don't want to dunk my head in water, unless I'm taking a shower, I don't even like swimming in pools or the ocean necessarily, because I just I don't know how to say it. I don't like getting my head wet. I don't know. So yeah, that sounds awful, dunking for apples to me. I mean, it's Halloween. You gotta carve a jack-o'-lantern. Again, I'm almost insulted by that question. Avery, go ahead.
I agree. I would rather carve a pumpkin. I don't understand, like, the bobbing for apples or whatever. Like, I just don't get it. Why would you want to put your face in water and grab an apple? Like, I want to eat an apple, like, regularly.
I would gladly reach in and
grab it.
eat the apple, because I love apples. But I'm not gonna use my. What am I, an animal or something? Just kidding. But yeah, freaking jack-o'-lanterns all the way.
That reminds me of, talking about dunking for apples reminds me of the Halloween episode of the first season of the original 1960s Addams Family series, but they had the guest Bob for crabs.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And they come up and they're hanging off their face.
Yes.
And so yes, I too would rather carve a jack-o'-lantern because it's fun to play with the insides and
Goopy, and
yeah.
then if you're really good, like, you can bake the pumpkin seeds, but that's like a lot to separate them all out.
I'm just happy if I can carve it and it looks okay.
I always have elaborate plans, and I start doing it, and I'm like, this is...
I think
this
everyone
is
does.
hard.
Like, everyone gets the kit that has all this,
They're all
like the 14 different...
fucking all break.
And then you attempt it, and 5 minutes in, you're like, I think I'm going to just do
Do
the
a face.
tried and true triangle
Oh, yeah.
eyes. And
Especially when you see so many cool pumpkins carved online or whatever, and I don't know.
I carved like a cat bus once, but it was on
Yeah.
a tiny pumpkin. It wasn't a big one. That wasn't that big because it was small.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it. I stick to the traditional, Halloween jack-o'-lantern, like he said.
I had like different tools though, but I carved like a Miwako from Paradise Kiss, the manga. I carved her with her little curly hair. That was cool. But I also had like not cheap tools. I had like nice clay sculpting tools. Made it a lot easier.
well, that's the thing too. If you just get the store-bought ones, or just in general, you don't think about until you're doing it how much more difficult it is to carve than you expect, and the resistance, and they get
Yes.
stuck, and then if you go too far just a little bit, the whole thing falls out, and
fucked it up.
And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Do you keep the top back on or do you keep it off? I always put it back on.
I put it back on and
yeah.
cut a little hole out so it can vent.
Yeah, so that-
Exactly. Yeah, that's how you do it.
I always get upset when I see ones without the top on them. Cause I'm like, he's cold. You know what I would love to do, and for one, it would cost a lot of money, and two, I would have to hire a lot of people to carve them all, but would be so fantastic to recreate the scene in Trick or Treat where Sam has decorated the entire yard. That's all.
That would be so much money.
It would be a ton of money and a ton of work. But yeah.
It's great to see pumpkins after they're carved like decompose and stay on people's porches for as long as possible.
And the squirrels eat them.
Yeah, because they just end up looking like so warped and just it's cool.
Well, I don't even think I ever took them out yet, but I should. The ones that I got from Home Depot last year that are plastic and look like, you know, decomposing ones.
They're steaks, right? We can put
Yeah. Home Depot was good on shit last year. Hopefully this year too. Yeah. All right, next question. Would you rather meet a vampire or meet a werewolf? Now they don't specify what type of vampire, so who knows if it's going to be like Interview with a Vampire or that show that just had a new season that I can't remember, but you showed me.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes, so.
I've never seen that, but
I hadn't until she started watching it and was like, I think you'd like this, and it was. Seasons 1 and 2 I liked a lot. Season 3 I haven't finished season 3. It's kind of it's. Season 3 was losing me a little bit compared to 1 and 2, but Avrie said, and I've read also, that it gets better near the end. Either way, it was still good.
Yeah. But
plus, wasn't that when I was like recovering from surgery, so I
Mhm.
was kind of also not the most comfortable. But anyways.
Well,
meet a vampire or a werewolf?
Just meeting them? Like,
there's no other specifications.
Hi, how you doing?
So who knows? I mean,
what's it like being a vampire? What's it like being a werewolf? Yeah, that's a good question. Like you said, I guess there's more of a variety of vampires than there are werewolves. Because when you think of, you know, if we're talking, like you said, movie vampires, you know, like, yeah, you could have the proper gothic Interview with a Vampire type, or you could have, like, you know, a gang of lost boys. You know, they'd be. I think I'm gonna pick vampires because.
Or Eddie Murphy.
Or Eddie Murphy. I think I'm gonna pick. Yeah, vampires though, because that just made me think like, yeah, like I would love to like, I would have loved to have been a lost boy. I would love to be a, you know, a vampire, I guess, or something like that. You know, I think werewolves are really cool too. But yeah, just, you know, I guess I'm just gonna say vampire because, you know, vampires are goth. Werewolves can be too. But I think when I think of werewolves,
me of more punk.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
When I think of werewolves, I think of more punk, or like maybe black metal, but like,
which is fine.
yeah, I was just gonna say there's
I
a
just
band.
lean more towards.
Yeah, there's a punk band I like. They have an album called Lycanthropunk, and you know, lycanthrope, meaning werewolf. So lycanthrope. There's a Wolf Brigade is a punk band. You know, Wolf. So I like them. But yeah, I'm gonna go with vampires though.
I'm also going to go with vampires because I want to be one and then, you know, just be immortal forever and not age.
I love garlic though, and you
I
can't
do
eat
like
garlic.
damn.
Yeah.
But there has been documentation in films and things where vampires debunk that, and they're like, no, it's okay.
I don't know. I tend to go I would err on the side of caution if I were a vampire.
Or it might be one of those.
Well, you couldn't really we couldn't eat it. You can't eat food if you're a vampire. I mean, most things you can't eat human food.
I didn't realize that. I thought vampires could actually eat food, though. All right.
Is it they can eat it, they just don't enjoy it anymore? Or is it...
I don't know, because some
Wait,
movies they get sick.
I was going to say, what was it that they got sick? Was it that show?
Okay. Again, I never saw the show, but, you know.
You would just live off of blood.
Because I was going to say, would it be like someone who's like lactose intolerant but still is like, no, I'm just going to deal with it because I love cheese?
I would imagine blood is rich in nutrients. So maybe it's healthy.
Maybe you could find someone who had recently eaten garlic.
Garlic blood.
Or put, like the...
Season it? Just season him.
I could season my blood
human
with garlic powder.
That's a great idea.
Because it's not maybe not real garlic, so you might be able to get away with it.
You know how you can like season soup? Just blood soup with garlic seasoning.
Oh, I think
or
we're picking
some everything
vampires.
bagel seasoning in there.
Everything
blood.
vampire. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
But I do think werewolves are cool, though.
So, my answer, which also I'm going to touch on because I think literally everyone, and this always made me angry at those in movies that would be like, I don't want to, who would want to be that? And it's like, everyone that's read or watched vampire films and books and because, and the great thing is too is that as you're getting older, because again, as I was when I was younger, and we all probably did, you either read Poppy Zebright or Anne Rice, anything like that, and so you're like, you get that more romanticized version, but then if you're introduced later on to the Lost Boys and things like that, you're like, oh shit, I can also be
badass,
like fucking cool ass, yeah.
Sleep all day, party all night.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, ooh, I can, yeah. And who doesn't want to be like, I can do this forever, and no responsibilities and all the cool bat shit, literally bat shit on people.
Guano.
But again, werewolves are cool too. I mean, you could meet ginger snaps. So anyway, but
my favorite werewolf movie is Wolf with Jack Nicholson.
Or you could be both, like in Underworld.
Well, I was gonna say I've never seen Underworld, but
once.
You could Gary Oldman. He kind of does both.
Yeah.
He was both, and yeah.
But if I had to choose, yes, vampire. But I'd still hang out with the werewolves.
Oh, sure, totally. Yeah. They're good people.
All right, next question. Would you rather get a surprise visit from Frankenstein's monster or a surprise visit from the Headless Horseman?
Frankenstein's monster. I just think, he would be more, more interesting, I guess. And the Headless Horseman,
what if it was the Christopher Walken Headless Horseman from Sleepy
Yeah,
Hollow?
so that's the first one I think of,
Who
But when I think of Frankenstein's monster, I think of the movie. One of my favorite movies ever, top 5 of all time, is Young Frankenstein.
That's what I think.
Young Frankenstein. I grew up with that. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. So, yeah, even though if we're choosing between Christopher Walken, Headless Horseman versus Peter Boyle, Frankenstein from Young Frankenstein, I'm totally going to hang out with Peter Boyle from Young Frankenstein, because there's a good chance I would be able to meet, I would think, Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And if that were, in fact, Gene Wilder, then my life would be complete. So I'm going to pick Frankenstein. I think Frankenstein's just cooler anyway. I've always been a fan of, the classic Universal monsters, Frankenstein, Boris Karloff. I think, I just think Frankenstein's and it's a great book too.
Yes, it is.
It actually is. And I'm going to pick Frankenstein. Although I wouldn't want to meet Robert De Niro as Frankenstein in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That movie was okay. I like it. A lot of people don't. I like it though, but yeah, it was all right. Anyway, I'll shut up now.
I go with Frankenstein too.
So
For all of the reasons.
Okay.
Like this, when I picture Frankenstein, I picture him like
Yes.
that young Frankenstein.
while the Christopher Walken Headless Horseman had impeccable style, great hair, great teeth, great eyes,
Everything.
great mouth sounds, because he basically was like,
He was.
I-
he was
I-
what?
I think that's literally, I think that's the sound he made in the whole movie, was just like,
Okay.
because even at the end where he like kisses and bites her mouth off, he like
This
looks up and he goes,
Well, of course. Don't you do that?
and I'm just like, how long did it take to memorize these lines?
Yeah.
Or can you imagine
Challenging dialogue.
Can you imagine him being like, can I say anything? You know, like, and like they're like,
So I notice in the script it calls for a lot of dramatic sighing,
exhaling.
exhaling. I mean,
But in Christopher Walken voice, like
right? This
Which you
this is
can
within my
channel.
wheelhouse. But could I get a little more, meat on the bone here?
No.
No, sigh, exhale. That's it.
But then one of my favorite scenes would be where Frankenstein's monster is just enjoying time with the hermit in his hut, and listening to music and things like, and just hanging out, and you're like, he's not a bad guy.
he's just like us.
misunderstood, and
Exactly.
and
I think I would relate to him. We'd get along.
And this gentleman that can't see him, who doesn't judge him based on that, is fond of him, and that's just, I don't know.
It says a lot about humanity.
It's such a good scene. And then Bride of Frankenstein is one of my all-time favorites. So yes, Frankenstein's monster, with a surprise visit from the Headless Horseman to go.
Yes.
Because Frankenstein's monster would have a candle and be like, kind of like, no, and he goes, and he blows it out by going, because
He does everything by doing that.
Because they're friends too. All right. This is just asking about dressing up as a different characters. So I guess that's Halloween related, but we'll skip that 'cause it's not super Halloween related. All right. Oh, this is almost like the first one. Would you rather spend... Oh, hold on. My voice.
Yeah, what? Okay.
Would you rather spend Halloween night at a haunted house or spend the night at a cemetery? So almost the same question.
That's pretty much the same thing.
It's
But we're
just
both...
different words.
Well, we're spending the night.
The difference
Yeah.
is it's spend Halloween night,
Oh,
not
Halloween
not
night.
just a night. I think I would still say a cemetery.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Mhm.
cemetery.
I mean, actually, Halloween night in a cemetery
Be
is
even
pretty
better.
much perfect.
Yeah.
Because you would have the whole cemetery fucking haunted.
right?
I mean,
The
on
veil is
Halloween, all
thin
the
and
right on
everything's-
Halloween, all the things rise from the grave. It's the one reason I never want to be incinerated, because then how could I come back as a zombie? Unless I'm like a dust
particles.
zombie.
Yeah. It's just,
That's a great concept they have not utilized yet.
no.
Dust zombies.
You're technically still.
I will sue anyone that takes that.
Patent pending.
Dust zombies. It's the one concept for zombies I don't think they've hit on yet. That'll probably be like the
Could they go
27th
inside
spin-off
you?
series
Like
of Walking Dead.
Like they could kind of go inside your
Right.
orifices.
Yes, dust zombies. And they'll be kind of like the parasites that control like the bugs, like the larvae.
Like they're airborne.
Yeah.
Yes. Dust zombies.
We might need to edit this out just so nobody
Cut this,
steals
cut
it.
this.
Okay.
Hey, is it still AMC, The Walking Dead's on? That it'll be like the 27th spin-off. Das Zombies.
Big fuck.
Yeah.
All right. I'm thinking already. Would you rather go trick-or-treating or stay home and watch a scary movie?
That's a no-brainer.
Trick or treat, for sure.
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, I'm a little old to be doing that, but I pretty much stay at home every night anyway, watching a scary movie. So
Change
and
it up.
I can't really trick or treat every night of the year. I would probably be treated very, unfairly if I tried to do that. Let's just say. Walking
go
around
door to
houses in the
door.
middle of July right now, knocking on people's doors saying trick or treat. I don't think I'd be received very well.
That's also a good idea.
Sure. Why
That
don't you
could
give
be-
it a try?
What do they call that? Where like the crowds just do something, like they plan
Like
like
a flash mob.
yeah,
Yeah.
flash trick or treat, like
Right. Well,
mid-year.
If we can organize one of those, sure, I'm in. But I feel like trick-or-treating is, on that one night of the year. And I would totally want to trick-or-treat because candy.
Mm.
I would pick trick or treat too. I mean, I went trick or treating into my 20s.
Well, you could get away with it. Now, I
You
was just
could
going to say,
s- you
you
could
could do it
still
today.
get
'Cause
away with it.
you're like kid-sized. So you could totally get away with it.
If you got dressed up and put on one of the many different masks you have and talked in your higher soft voice, and I would be like any of us walk with you dressed up, that we'd be like
I could be your dad.
exactly
Well, that
'Cause
photo.
yep, exactly. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, so you don't know what photo we're talking about because it was a behind the scenes outtake of a photo shoot, but it was amazing. We should we usually have performances on Halloween, but if there is a year that we don't, we're going to see if that works. And so I'm going to answer this by saying it's a stupid fucking question because everyone knows you watch a scary movie when you get home after trick-or-treating,
Yeah.
eat all the fucking candy, get sick, and then eat more of it. Because I did that all the time. I would come back and throw on, whatever's on the TV. Goes back to me remembering when in the other group's vodcast where I remember one of the first times I saw Rocky Horror was coming back after trick-or-treating and threw on the TV at like 11 o'clock and ate my candy and questioned things and let's see. Would you rather
Okay, stop yawning. So, yeah.
That's how you should yawn now. Christopher Walken yawn. Why do you yawn like that? Have you ever seen Sleepy Hollow?
That's the reason.
Would you rather be a ghost or a zombie?
Ghost. I would rather be a ghost. I like the idea of being invisible and being able to travel through walls and things like that. If we're, basing this off of Hollywood, I would rather be a ghost, I think. I feel like if you're a zombie, you're just in perpetual suffering.
Yeah.
And you're just always going to be at risk of being, destroyed or whatever. So yeah, I would rather be a ghost.
I would rather be a ghost too, but I wouldn't want to be like exorcised or anything because that wouldn't be good. Or like in Beetlejuice when they bring them back, like that's not. I don't want that to happen.
When I think of ghosts and what it would be like being a ghost, I always think of the
Patrick
movie.
Swayze.
I think of the movie Ghost. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah. Were you actually going to say that?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So you'd get to like craft with Demi Moore.
I wasn't thinking that, I wasn't,
Oh,
thinking
gosh.
like,
Oh, you
boy,
were
if
thinking
I were a
you were
ghost,
thinking of
I could.
you were thinking of inhabiting Whoopi Goldberg.
Again, no. I was just mostly thinking of, the way he sort of existed as a ghost, his interactions with other ghosts, what they experienced living amongst living people. Wasn't necessarily thinking of making pottery in a romantic, sexy way. Although
It's just
Demi
the
Moore,
plus.
hey, why not? But I also was not thinking of inhabiting Whoopi Goldberg's body to dance with. That would be more of a nightmare, I think. Sorry, Whoopi, but that's not what I had in mind. I just thought of, again, what it would be like, if you were an actual ghost living amongst the living. That's what I think of, at least.
Yeah.
That movie. So yeah, that's my answer.
It's funny. I'm actually not joking. That is a really good movie.
Oh, Ghost is a great movie.
And
yeah,
when I saw that, I was young, and when the spirits would come up and drag them down,
Yes.
that was fucking
Scary.
scary.
yeah, that noise, that droning scream, it was disturbing.
Because you don't
Like,
expect that
nope.
from a
And it was
Whoopi
a-
Goldberg
No.
movie.
And it was a
No.
different, I think, and it was a different take on like demons and going to hell or whatever. Like, yeah, I always thought that too. I was like, that disturbed me, especially the noise they made, that screaming, moaning. I always remembered that. Like, that always has stuck with me.
It's creeping me out just thinking.
Yeah, it's disturbing. We should sample it.
We should. Why haven't we yet?
I don't know.
Let's do
I was
it.
too stuck on Whoopi.
But yeah, that's a great movie. Underrated. The pottery scene just overshadowed everything.
And I
Yeah.
don't see anything like that ever being made now. Like
Well.
I can't imagine them.
I could see them remaking it and it being terrible.
Like really
Yeah.
horrible, but I mean
Yeah.
anyways, but no, that's a good movie.
He's gonna have to watch Ghost later.
I haven't for a
Do
while.
it.
Why not?
Yeah. So, I still have to well, I don't think there's enough.
Like, would you be aware if you
outlines
were a
on this.
zombie?
Well, okay, so that's kind of my point. So, am I a ghost that's just chilling? Like, am I just hanging out? Like the mate, like, am I just kind of like,
Existing,
Yeah, like,
like,
am I just kind of like,
normally, but dead.
am I just, inhabiting places and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? Or am I one of the spirits from, like, the original Pulse, not the horrible US remake, but, like, the original Pulse that they basically exist in the area that they passed away in, and
They're stuck.
especially if they're, like, suffering or stuck, or am I, so things like that. But on the other side, zombies, am I just completely, like, shuffling original concept? Am I running like a fucking
Like 28
coked
weeks
out
later.
28 days later zombie? Do I eventually learn and, like, at the end be like, I mean...
Or, like, are you
So-
someone's, like pet, kind of, like in Shaun of the Dead? where
Oh,
you
is that
just-
that one? Or no, wasn't there one called Fido?
Yeah, there's
Yeah, that, like, all, like, where the zombies are basically just the same, they're just decaying. So I guess it really depends, but I mean, I guess I would prefer to be a ghost, because typically ghosts still have some sort of, like, coherent thought,
They're not just
whereas
brains.
you're right, whereas zombies will typically just be like, "Ugh," and so it's just kind of like, I don't,
And
Or,
Jared
or
had
they'll
the-
make what sound? Thank you.
And Jared had a good point with being, worried about just having your head cut off all the time
Right.
or dying
Yeah.
again.
and I could inhabit Whoopi Goldberg.
That's all you.
And then I would make Sister Act 3.
Now that's worth doing, man.
Next, would you rather eat candy apples or candy corn?
See, I like candy corn. I know that's a very hated candy, but I've always loved candy corn. Give me all the candy corn. I like it. But
I
candy,
think people only say that because they think they're supposed to. Candy corn is
Right.
good. Shut up.
oh, it's
Don't
good. I love
disagree.
it.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with candy. It's just fucking sugar that's colored cool, and
Yeah, candy
It-
corn's delicious.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Stop hating.
I don't think I've ever eaten like the autumn mix, so I don't know what the like brown pumpkins and leaf things
Oh, it's
are.
pretty much the same.
Yep.
Is it? It's
Yep.
just different
Kinda.
colors.
Yeah,
Yep.
basically. I think
didn't
the
know-
pumpkins.
Isn't
the
there?
pumpkins
Isn't
might
one
have.
caramel?
There's a
Yeah.
yeah, but it has that still like
It's still
Taste.
Still
pretty
just
much
sugar.
it's in the family of candy corn, but so I love candy corn.
And
But
candy corn's great because like it keeps the taste it has always. Like it's not like gummy bears that turns into nothing flavor.
Right.
It's just always basically
Right.
sugar.
But a candy apple, is pretty good. I love apples, but I
When
feel
they
like
say, when they say candy apple, is candy apple just like a caramel apple?
no,
No.
no.
Okay,
See,
so
that's what
what's-
I was just
'cause I was
about to
gonna
say.
say, like,
because I
what's-
love caramel, like the caramel apples, the candy
Yeah.
apples.
That's
they-
what I was
they're
just about.
stupid to eat.
I don't know the difference.
That's what
What's
I was
a-
just about to say. The candy apple is just like a candy coating.
It's like a red hard shell.
Right,
That's
but
like,
the caramel apple, that's what I was gonna say. Is I'm picking candy corn because if I want a dipped apple of some kind, I'm
Caramel.
absolutely getting a
Yes.
caramel
yes.
apple with the nuts.
Yes.
Yes, that's the way to go. Fuck
Like
a
a
candy
Granny
apple.
Smith dipped
Yes.
So candy apple is the kind that has like what the stick with the red.
Yeah. It's like
What
a
does the red taste? I don't
It's
recall
like
if I've ever
a-
had it.
it's like a clear candy coating. I don't even
Like
know.
sugar.
It's
like a
sugar.
But
Yeah.
it's hard. It's stupid to eat. Like it sucks to eat. It's
But
not
Well,
fun.
I mean, isn't a caramel apple really sucky to eat?
Hell
It's
no,
not-
man.
it's not hard,
no.
though, no.
It's
no,
not
no,
as it's not as sticky.
No, man.
I
It's
forget
sticky,
if
but it's
maybe
good.
There was one of them because when I was younger, again, no dental visits and things. So a number of candies ripped out teeth of mine when I was little. So one was the blow pop or Tootsie Pop, but one was I don't know if it was a candy apple or a caramel apple.
I mean,
Well,
both could rip out your
I
teeth.
think it's possible for both to do that. I was gonna say because the caramel apple is pretty sticky still, but
But you can like bite into it. Versus candy apples,
oh,
like
yeah.
hard. Like
yeah, a caramel apple is fucking awesome with the nuts and everything. So yeah, that's my answer. I would pick candy corn over a candy apple.
I would pick the same. If it was a caramel apple,
Then I'm picking
things
maybe
might-
that.
yeah,
Maybe because
yeah.
that's tough.
that would be very challenging.
That
But that
is.
the caramel or the candy corn and the candy apple, no brainer candy corn.
Yeah.
You could put the candy corn on the caramel apple,
Like
like
just combine them.
You could. I don't know though. It might be a little bit too much.
What
for
about
me.
a candy corn? A caramel candy
like
corn.
just I'm just thinking a ball with the
They
candy.
do.
Imagine-
like
imagine
spiky,
a- imagine-
it's like spiky looking.
Imagine they would somehow make one candy corn as big as an apple that would be dipped in caramel.
Wow, on a stick.
Can we put an apple inside
we
of it?
need to find out how to do
I like
this.
apples.
Well, what I was gonna say is they do make different flavored candy corn. I've seen
Like
that.
apple candy
Yeah,
corn.
and caramel.
Actually, you're
Yeah.
right because I remember the one artist that did my hand catos, Jess.
We got her the autumn one, I think.
Right, she couldn't. I remember she was looking for. I think it was the autumn mix candy corn and couldn't find it places, and so I was like, "Shit!" I found some, and the one, the one. I can't think. The one time, one of my appointments took it, and that's all. Candy corn, yeah. And yes, so I have candy corn all over my body, and I too would choose candy corn all over my body.
I think that calls for a walk in yawn. Thank you.
That's the sound I would make.
Yes.
Let's see. All right, so we are getting close on the time, so let's find some more fun ones. Would you rather go out trick-or-treating with your spooky someone or go out on a spooky date?
Trick or treating would be the date.
Yeah.
And why?
Exactly.
And why
Yeah.
would that not be a great date?
Exactly.
So that's a no-brainer. We're going trick
Yes.
or treating. That's what I would want to. Yeah.
Oh, this one's dumb. But at the same time, I'll ask it because it makes me think of Home Alone and Hocus Pocus. Would you rather... So I'm going to... Yes. Would you rather have a Halloween party or a Christmas party?
Oh, whatever. That's not even a question. It's a fucking Halloween party,
Wait, why is
all
this
the
a no?
time.
Would you rather Halloween things? I guess because it's a Halloween party.
I don't know, but that's not even a question. Yeah.
Yeah. Same?
Yeah.
Okay. Wrap it up with a few more. Would you rather get attacked by a giant spider or a spooky skeleton?
I think a spooky skeleton, because I could not to sound like a tough guy, but I could probably beat a skeleton. I think a spider would be just a giant spider or whatever would be just horrifying to me.
I was going to say, has no one
Yeah.
seen Kingdom of the Spiders, Arachnophobia? I mean,
Yeah, arachnophobia, that ruined spiders for
Yeah.
me, so forget it. Yeah, I mean, a skeleton, you
a
just
skeleton's just a fucking skeleton.
just a bunch of bones.
Bones.
There you
Like,
go.
It doesn't It's not
Done
like
deal.
it's not like the fucking Deadite army of Darkness
Right,
with
no.
fucking swords. It's
Yeah,
just
they
don't- do they have
it's a
weapons?
skeleton.
Yeah, after what happened to Jeff Daniels, I am not fucking with spiders.
And normal spiders, like, if they're there and they're chilling, I'm like, okay, cool, you're there.
Yeah,
but if
spi-
you're, but if
The
it's a big
spiders
giant
are
one,
fine. There's no issue with them, but this is
Oh,
attacked by a giant
giant one?
spider.
Fuck
So
that.
Mm-mm.
Bring on the skeleton.
giant spiders not only would have giant, little, but also they're
And do they yawn?
they go.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, it might be a spooky skeleton, but it has no.
But it's attacking you.
Right? But no. it has no muscles.
Right.
It would hurt, like, because you would hit bones. But, like, I mean,
Yeah.
you could maybe use one of their bones to
Right.
further get their.
This is the dumbest fucking question. And we'll end with that because why not? Because it's pointless. And I don't know why it's in this question when it's about Halloween, but would you rather eat candy every day for a month or have no candy for a month? What the fuck
What the
type
fuck
of
type of question
that?
is that?
I'd prefer to have only vegetables and lettuce for a month.
Not
No
even go-
candy corn for
Not
me.
even gonna dignify that with an answer. Fuck whoever wrote that.
And thought they'd added into that. Let me just add that in.
Disgraceful.
Let me pick a few more.
Yeah, we can't end on that note.
Makes no sense. Some of these are getting really dumb.
We did all the good ones.
See, that's what happens when you get the free trial. You get the dumb fucking questions.
Yeah, no, because it is telling me, like, if you want the rest now, buy this. All right, we'll finish up with a follow-up to the dumb fucking question with another one. Would you rather have candy for dinner or have candy for breakfast? I'd rather have candy for every meal.
Exactly.
Well, the plus side with dinner is, like, it's a reward for the end of the day.
Although, if you have like a good hearty candy bar, that's a good way to start. Like, you wake up and eat a Snickers, you might be good for the day. That's a terrible breakfast. But in
if you
this
had to do
scenario,
it.
and but then again, like you said, I mean, after a hard day's work, if
You're like,
I
yes.
came home to a Snickers, that might get me through the day.
Something to look
So
forward to.
I guess it all would depend. I don't know.
So I'm going to plan out my day right here. So my candy for breakfast would be, so we'll just assume, because we'll say for anyone that has certain eating specifics, it'll be specific to what they want. So just imagine it's all vegan stuff. We'll say my breakfast would be Reese's Pieces in, chocolate almond milk with a lot of sweetener. So that's my candy for
In
breakfast.
it?
Yes.
Or with it?
No,
Like a bowl,
my
like
cereal,
Oh, okay,
my
okay,
candy
okay.
cereal, Reese's Pieces in chocolate
yeah,
almond,
I'd be down
chocolate
with that.
sweetened almond milk.
I immediately knew what you meant.
Yeah, so Reese's Pieces and chocolate sweetened almond milk for breakfast. Then brunch.
Oh,
Brunch would probably be some Twix.
it feels like a Twix.
It feels like a Twix,
Maybe a Kit Kat for brunch.
Nah, I like Twix.
Well, see, Twix would
Had
be
the
kind of
cookies.
Twix would be the brunch, and then I was actually going to say a variety of Kit Kat flavors for lunch. Like you have the
The
chocolate ones,
Japanese
and then you've
sort of-
got like the mint and things like that.
So brunch is just second breakfast.
Exactly. And then I think for pre-dinner, I would do those really large.
Lupper.
I would do those.
Lupper. Between lunch and dinner. Lupper.
for Lupper.
Right. You've never ate brunch and Lupper?
For Lupper, I would probably get those when we had the fire. I would get those
The marshmallows.
chocolate, the marshmallows
Marshmallows.
stuffed with chocolate.
Maybe a Three Musketeers bar would be good for Lupper. I don't know. That's
Nougat.
it's kind of like it's kind of marshmallow-esque.
Does anyone not like? I like peanut chews. I think that would be good. I love peanut chews.
Peanut cheese.
What would that be like? Almond? No, not almond joy.
No, it's
I don't know.
coconut.
Yeah, you're
I love
right.
coconut. I love Mounds and
No,
Almond
that's the
Joy.
worst candy.
Just no.
What's the one with nuts? Is it Payday?
Payday has nuts.
Payday.
Yeah.
I like that one. I like that one.
Why
Baby
is it called
Ruth.
Payday?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Or Baby Ruth.
I like Baby Ruth.
It has nuts.
So for Lupper,
What about some gummy worms? There's some gummies in there.
So Lupper's the marshmallows stuffed with chocolate. Dinner, I'm gonna go ham on that, and I'm gonna have because you want a large dinner. It's a meal that you're like, yeah, treat myself. So I would have those big stuffed Reese's cups. And
Like the chunky ones.
yeah, like the big ones that
With
are
like the
that
potato
have
chips stuffed inside of
well,
them.
they
or-
have there's a new one, and I was like, wow, I wish this would have been around when I ate this stuff. It's like a big Reese's, but then inside it's almost like an Oreo cookie,
What?
Wow.
and I'm just
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
I go,
I
I
have a
probably
problem, too.
actually made that sound,
Yeah.
and so it would be the big Reese's, and I'd be there like eating it, and cutting it, and
Or like all proper.
right. And then to follow up for dessert
Mhm.
would be the gummy worms in the cookies and cream ice cream.
Oh, like dirt. Wait,
Yeah,
what is
yes,
that dirt?
Yeah, like whatever they called it, the dirt pie or something,
Yes,
or
yes.
worms and dirt or something, is how I would
Well-
end that up.
What about a late night snack?
Late night snack would be candy corn.
Ah, perfect.
So
And then a few days of that, you'll be
God,
dead.
you'd be so just a day you'd be so sick.
And then before you know it, you'll have diabetes, and yeah,
but worth it.
totally worth it.
And then I'd inhabit Whoopi Goldberg,
That's the only way.
and she would
Yeah.
go.
It all comes full circle, you see.
And so that's that kind of ends the questions. We went a little longer than I thought, but it was worth it
Yes.
because
Those were good. That's fun.
No, we could definitely keep going, but
Learned a
we'll,
lot.
We'll keep it short. You
Hope you
learned
did
you
too.
learned what my typical day of candy indulgence would be. And it would change each day, but that's like that would be
No,
the,
but I
the-
like
that would be the starting
I like
point.
starting the day off with a type of cereal,
Exactly.
so you could kind of change it.
Exactly. Or if I even had to choose just a regular cereal that you could basically say is candy.
I mean, yeah,
it was
all
the,
those new ones.
The Cocoa Pebbles. It was like the
Changed
opposite
the-
of the
They
the
changed
fruity
the
pebbles.
milk chocolate.
Oh yeah, because then you drink the milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows that. Or and Cocoa Puffs did similar, but I didn't like that the balls were almost like harsh a little bit.
Count Chocula.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, any of the monster cereals. There was
Right.
Frankenberry and all that. No, Boo Berry
Yeah.
and
Boo Berry.
Franken.
Isn't it Frankenberry?
Maybe it is.
I think
You know,
it's
it is
Frankenberry.
I think they were
Frankenberry.
both.
And then
Blueberry and
okay.
Frankenberry.
Okay.
All good.
Yeah. Well, so that's that. If you want to chime in, feel free to tell us.
Tell us your day of candy.
Tell us your day of candy. And your night of candy, if you just stay up all the time, what would be your
24 hours candy.
hourly candy indulgence? That's a good time. And I mean, if you're, well, I guess it again depends on the stipulations, but I was like, certain ghosts could eat. It doesn't mean they don't have a body. Whoopi Goldberg could eat.
The ghosts in the movie version of Casper ate.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
There you go. And so we hope you've learned a lot about these things. And
I think to close it out, Adam, perhaps we should, remind people of a certain sound they might make if they feel inspired. I think that's a good way to end this. Kind of a Walken-esque.
So if at any point, you need some inspiration, you need to feel a rush of energy, find some candy corn, shove a ton of it in your mouth, feel the flavor and everything just hit you, and you just go,
You have to do an exhale, though. You can't inhale because then you got candy corn.
well, this would be after you ingest it.
Okay.
Like you feel it hit and you're just like,
Okay.
yeah. So you can find us at Linktree/TheDestructPrinciple, and you can find us all on socials that we've mentioned on a lot of the other videos, so we're not going to hear. Yeah, so that is it. Keep going. Keep growing. Eat candy corn. Hails.